Chapter 11, A Wall Between Us. Ji Qinghan could feel the noticeable strength in his body. Jumping from a height of about 10 meters didn't seem like a problem anymore. Most importantly, his skeleton minions could absorb some of the impact, making it even safer. But the thought of the zombies outside made him abandon the idea. In the hallway, he only had to deal with zombies coming from one direction. Outside, he'd be surrounded. His 3 skeletons wouldn't stand a chance against a horde. I need to level up more, he thought. Just then, one of his skeletons raised its weapon and smashed a zombie's head. It was a simple attack, but the zombie reacted as if it had seen something terrifying. It turned and ran, colliding with other zombies, causing them to stumble. The skeletons didn't hesitate, swiftly cutting down the disoriented zombies. So that's the panic effect. Ji Qinghan's eyes brightened. This effect was far more useful than he had anticipated. Despite turning pale from the gruesome scene, Tian asked curiously, "Why are the zombies acting like that?" Ji Qinghan glanced at her and teased, "Maybe you scared them." "Impressive." Tian gasped, her face flushing red with embarrassment. He didn't press the joke and instead pointed to the zombies below. "Want to join the fight? It's exhausting, but you'll level up." Dao Yu nodded silently, picking up a spiked wooden club that was still in decent shape before stepping into the fray. Tian hesitated, then looked at Ji Qinghan with pleading eyes. "You'll protect me, right? You're overthinking it. If things go south, I'll be the first to run." His blunt answer shattered her fantasy, but surprisingly, she wasn't upset. Instead, she smiled, her voice sincere, "You're different from those guys who make empty promises. You're special." To Ji Qinghan's surprise, she stepped forward, summoning a purple arcane orb in her hand. 3 seconds later, it exploded among the zombies, pushing their line forward. "I leveled up." Tian turned to Ji Qinghan, her face full of triumph. But she was greeted by his wry smile. Was Tian beautiful? No doubt about it. She'd recently been voted one of the top freshmen. But romance was the last thing on his mind right now. There was no time for such distractions. With Tian's new powers, she could now cast 5 arcane orbs in quick succession, each one far more powerful than before. The standoff they had been holding on the 4th floor began to break as they slowly advanced. Ji Qinghan stroked his chin, realizing just how deep this so-called global game might go. Once the novice tasks were over, perhaps everything would finally make sense. By 3 p.m., Ji Qinghan and his group had fought their way to the corner between the 4th and 3rd floors. Along the way, they encountered another massive zombie, but this time, the skeletons handled it without needing Tian's help. They didn't get a healing scroll, but they did find a shield. Ji Qinghan equipped one of his skeletons with it, further boosting its combat power. Though they had killed many zombies, it now took multiple kills just to make his 3rd soul fire flicker brighter. The experience needed to level up had increased. The zombies weren't much of a threat anymore, but they also weren't giving much in terms of strength gains. Still, Ji Qinghan was content. Now, 2 of his skeletons were equipped with weapons and shields, each boasting 20 points of combat power, stronger than many 3rd-tier players. His next goal was to find another massive zombie and get a shield for his 3rd skeleton. If I get more skeletons, am I going to need a ton of equipment too? Ji Qinghan thought. His eyes landed on the spiked wooden clubs dropped by the zombies. These weapons seemed to have some kind of invisible barrier around them, disappearing only when picked up by players, perhaps to prevent contamination or for some other reason. A thought struck him: could he stockpile weapons for his future skeletons? His other skill, Necromancer's Space, hadn't been used much. The description mentioned that no living creatures could survive in that space, but weapons weren't alive. Excited, Ji Qinghan picked up a weapon and tried to store it in the Necromancer's Space. A ripple appeared in the air, and the weapon vanished from his hand. With a thought, it reappeared. It works. Ji Qinghan felt as if he had discovered a whole new world. He quickly gathered all the weapons around him. They had killed over 200 zombies in the hallway, and if it weren't for the constant wave of zombies, the corridor would have been long blocked by corpses. Now, he could collect dozens of weapons. After stashing all the weapons into his Necromancer's Space, Ji Qinghan and his team advanced to the 3rd floor. But what they saw ahead made his face fall. The staircase leading from the third to the second floor was blocked by a thick earthen wall. Bits of debris were mixed in, showing that it had been built intentionally by another player. Ji Qinghan had hoped to use the stairs to escape to the second floor if the walls on the third floor cracked. As long as they moved quickly, the zombies wouldn't be a problem. But now, that plan was out the window. Tian's eyes reddened, and she angrily hurled an arcane orb at the wall. Dust flew, but the wall remained intact. Ji Qinghan stopped her and said calmly, "Save your strength." If the wall was easy to break, the zombies would have torn through by now. After the initial shock, Ji Qinghan quickly pieced together what had happened. There were still students on the second floor. If they realized that the zombies were coming from the third floor and that there were zombies outside as well, what would they do? Block the stairs from the third to the second floor and seal off the exits on the first floor, waiting for the novice task to be over. This move essentially condemned everyone above the third floor to death, but it wasn't hard to imagine someone making that decision. After all, Li Qingshan was on the second floor, a ruthless man even before he gained power. Now that he had power, Ji Qinghan wouldn't be surprised by anything he did. While the skeletons continued their fight, Dao Yu and Tian looked discouraged. But Ji Qinghan narrowed his eyes, as if trying to see through the wall to the person behind it. Li Qingshan, you've given me more than enough reason to kill you. Chapter 12. Survivors on the first and second floors. Ji Qinghan wasn't deeply disappointed, any initial disappointment vanished almost immediately. Since his parents' deaths, he had learned to handle challenges on his own. Without hesitation, he began devising an escape plan. Breaking through these earthen walls was feasible but would take time. Moreover, there was a crack on this floor continuously spewing zombies, and even if he broke through, he would likely encounter Li Qingshan. Previously, Ji Qinghan had hesitated, unsure about the outcomes of his newfound abilities. Now, seeing the countless students and teachers devoured along the way, he knew the situation was dire. In this context, no one would mourn an additional death. The only remaining option was to jump out of a window. But this had the same problem, his strength was insufficient to ensure survival outside. After some thought, Ji Qinghan concluded he needed to strengthen himself first. Maybe I should investigate the crack, I might find something useful, he thought. With this decision, he directed his 3 skeleton minions to continue their advance. Tian and Dao Yu had ceased fighting. The earthen wall's blow had been too much for them, and they needed time to recover. A long-held hope being shattered could be profoundly disappointing. Ellipsis. Qingshan, the fighters have all reached level 2. Should we take a break? A boy asked in a first-floor classroom where Li Qingshan sat with a frown. Glancing at the defensive wall constructed by the Earth Elementalist near the door, Li Qingshan replied sternly, keep leveling up to level 3. Level 2 isn't enough. But, everyone says they're really tired. The boy hesitated, also feeling exhausted, which is why he came to negotiate on behalf of the others. A cold glint appeared in Li Qingshan's eyes, but he controlled his temper. When the zombies attacked earlier, he had used his abilities to clear many, quickly rising as the temporary leader of the surviving fighters on the first and second floors. With zombies continuously emerging from the third floor, they had fought hard and blocked the staircases with the help of an Earth Elementalist. Later, they sealed off the door to the outside, leaving only a small exit for safe leveling. Thanks to this setup, Li Qingshan had reached level 3 with an impressive combat power of 35 points. He knew, however, that the novice mission was just the beginning and that greater challenges lay ahead. Under his guidance, the fighters on this floor continued leveling up at the door, battling an endless stream of zombies. Without the Earth Elementalist reinforcing the door, the opening might have been overrun long ago. Li Qingshan found it infuriating that they still complained about being tired despite his efforts to create a favorable leveling environment. His expression darkened as he glanced at a tall boy beside him. The boy, a former basketball teammate, stood up. Both were rough and tumble types, and they had quickly formed a small group during the chaos. If you're all so tired, there's no need for my friend to maintain the walls, Li Qingshan said coldly. The Earth Elementalist was another of his basketball buddies. Elementalists were rare, but different types existed. A Fire Elementalist was also present in the classroom. No, Qingshan, that's not what we meant. The boy panicked and explained, we're not complaining about being tired. It's just that the game started around lunchtime, and now it's past 3 in the afternoon. His stomach grumbled in agreement. Li Qingshan paused, realizing the boy had a point. He too was beginning to feel hungry. Nevertheless, he maintained his authority, saying, "Continue leveling up. Remember, after the novice mission, things will only get more dangerous. All 14 fighters need to reach level 3. But we're out of food. I'll handle that with my friend. But you need to follow my lead after this." The boy smiled, nodding eagerly. "Of course, Qingshan. We're already following your orders. If it weren't for you, we'd have died outside with those 2 foolish teachers." Li Qingshan couldn't help but smile. His decisive actions had earned him a leadership role among the group. 2 teachers had suggested trying to break out, and most of the students on the first and second floors had followed them, only to die outside. Those who stayed behind had shivered as they listened to the screams outside, grateful for their survival. As the boy turned to relay Li Qingshan's orders, the earth elementalist beside him asked, "Qingshan, where are we going to find food?" Li Qingshan glanced at him and sighed. "Before class, I picked up a delivery, 4 bags of whole wheat bread I ordered online for breakfast." The earth elementalist's eyes lit up. "Great, let's grab some now. I'm starving." "Sure, but save some for the others. We might need their help later." With that, the 2 headed toward the classroom where they had attended class earlier. But before they could get far, a panicked girl came running toward them. Li Qingshan was puzzled. Wasn't she supposed to be guarding the earthen wall by the stairs? What's going on? Is the wall about to be breached? He felt a sudden unease. If the wall broke, with zombies pouring in from the 3rd floor, they wouldn't stand a chance. The girl shook her head and swallowed nervously. "No, but I heard fighting sounds on the 3rd floor. I think there are still survivors up there." Li Qingshan's concern dissipated. He had suspected this when he had his friend seal off the staircase earlier. There were definitely people still alive upstairs, probably quite a few. But what did that matter to him? If the survivors upstairs were strong enough, they would clear out the zombies and break through the wall. After all, the wall only blocked the zombies' senses and wasn't a strong defense. If they weren't strong enough, well, their deaths wouldn't affect him. Better them than dragging him down. At this point, it was normal for people to die. He suddenly regretted not finishing off Ji Qinghan when he had the chance. If he had known things would come to this, he would have crippled or even killed him after stealing his profession. To Li Qingshan, leaving someone as smart as Ji Qinghan alive was like raising a tiger, one that might come back to bite him. Ji Qinghan, by now you've probably ended up in some zombie's stomach, right? Li Qingshan thought coldly, with a hint of anticipation in his heart. Chapter 13, The Novice Trial. Should we open the hallway and let the students from upstairs come down? A girl asked, looking apprehensive at Li Qingshan's sudden smile. Li Qingshan glanced at her and replied, "Are you sure those coming down are alive or zombies?" The girl was at a loss for words, her gaze full of sympathy. Li Qingshan smirked with a touch of disdain. "If you can stand in the hallway and deal with any zombies that might come down, I can open it now. Otherwise, save your saintly concerns." Unable to counter his assertion, the girl bowed her head and walked away under Li Qingshan's imposing presence. Liang Chao, the earth elementalist, watched her leave and clapped Li Qingshan on the shoulder. "Hey, that girl is the class beauty in our major. Interested?" "Liang Chao, if you're interested, just say so. No need to play games," Li Qingshan said with a smile, then headed with Liang Chao towards the classroom where he had just attended. Liang Chao grinned. "She doesn't like me. I'm not as good looking as you." Without turning back, Li Qingshan spoke with determination. "Things are different now. Strength is everything. Stick with me, and you can have as many of those kinds of women as you want." "All right." On the 3rd floor, Ji Qinghan stretched as he observed his 4 skeletons advancing. It was just past 3:30 p.m., and after clearing countless zombies, he had finally reached level 4. His combat power had risen to 20 points, and his skeletons were now at level 4 with 20 combat power each. The 2 skeletons equipped with shields and weapons had reached 27 combat power. With the support of the other 2 skeletons, they were nearly unstoppable in the hallway. Suddenly, Tian approached and handed him a small bread roll. "Here, I just had one, and now you had one too." Ji Qinghan took the bread, tore open the wrapper, and ate it without paying much attention to the surrounding corpses. It was better to get used to these situations than to avoid them. Tian Tian seemed unsettled by Ji Qinghan's casual demeanor. She and Dao Yu had found a room without corpses to eat their bread earlier and had struggled to keep their food down. In contrast, Ji Qinghan ate amid the corpses as if he were in a cafeteria. "Are you both recovered?" Ji Qinghan suddenly asked Tian Tian and Dao Yu, who were not far away. They nodded, having recently reached level 3 and regained some stamina. However, the crack in the hallway seemed like a monster's mouth, continuously spitting out zombies. If it weren't for Ji Qinghan's skeletons, which didn't tire and could heal during battles, they would have been overwhelmed by now. Ji Qinghan was about to speak when he saw Dao Yu signal behind him. He turned to see two shield shadows enveloping his skeletons. Then, two large zombies attacked the shields, but this time, the shadows didn't shatter. Large zombies. Ji Qinghan, seeing these newly emerged zombies from the crack, felt more anticipation than fear. His skeletons had become almost as strong as these large zombies. Just right. We're short 2 shields, so you two will do. With a gleam in his eye, Ji Qinghan's skeletons charged at the large zombies. The front 2 skeletons, protected by Dao Yu's skill, collided with the large zombies with brute force. The rear 2 skeletons then struck the zombies' heads with their weapons. The zombies' heads were tough but were still dented by the force. Tian Tian, initially ready to help, was stunned by the crushing force of the skeletons. When the 2 zombies were finally defeated, she hesitantly asked, "Is it just me, or did your skeletons coordinate better than before?" Ji Qinghan smiled, "Maybe." Tian Tian wasn't mistaken, the coordination of the skeletons had indeed improved due to the enhancement effect of the third soul fire. The desire for death is the pursuit of all your minions, their coordination becomes even more perfect. However, Ji Qinghan's smile faded quickly when he realized only one shield had dropped from the 2 zombies. Oh, it looks like my guess was right. After leveling up, the drop rate for lower level monsters decreases, Ji Qinghan thought, annoyed that one skeleton was left without a shield. Still, his skeletons could now sweep through ordinary zombies easily, though the spiked wooden clubs didn't drop as much. They were only a few meters from the crack, feeling a faint sense of pressure. Ji Qinghan scratched his head, wondering if the crack could be sealed. As he pondered, a skeleton approached the crack, triggering a prompt. "Do you want to challenge the novice trial passage? Successfully challenging it will close this passage. Note: the challenge can only be undertaken by one person. Please proceed with caution." Ji Qinghan was surprised. The crack needed a challenge to be closed. Although only one person could undertake the challenge, his skeletons should be able to handle it, right? He noticed Tian Tian and Dao Yu also received similar prompts. "So, what do you think? Want to give it a try?" Ji Qinghan asked. As expected, neither of them was willing. Dao Yu had strong defensive skills but lacked effective offensive abilities, while Tian Tian was powerful offensively but nearly as vulnerable as an ordinary person in close combat. In contrast, Ji Qinghan's skeletons were both offensive and defensive. Tian Tian worriedly said, "Are you going to challenge it? I think it's dangerous." Ji Qinghan smiled, "Is there anywhere that's not dangerous right now?" He knew the challenge could be risky but wanted to try it anyway. After all, he was no longer under much pressure from the zombies, and he had almost no necromancer energy left to absorb. If anyone could close this passage, it should be him. He silently chose to accept the challenge. The black passage writhed, and no more zombies appeared. Then, Ji Qinghan felt a pulling force from the crack. His body was uncontrollably pulled towards it, and his skeletons followed suit. In just a few seconds, Ji Qinghan shot through the crack, disappearing from Tian Tian and Dao Yu's stunned gaze. Chapter 14. Great Harvest. Ji Qinghan felt as if he had lost his senses for a moment, and then he was back on solid ground. He quickly looked around and saw that his 4 skeletons had also appeared here. It seemed he was in a gladiatorial arena. The surrounding stands were shrouded in darkness, offering no information. However, his intuition told him that something was watching him from the stands. The arena floor was brightly lit but covered in limbs and still fresh blood. It looks like there has been some intense fighting here recently. Ji Qinghan narrowed his eyes. At that moment, he heard the sound of chains dragging. He turned sharply to see a large, imposing figure emerging from the shadows at the edge of the arena. He immediately positioned his 4 skeletons in front of him, keeping a close watch on the figure. It was a giant zombie. Tyrant zombie, level 5 combat power, 60 description, a powerful mutated zombie born for destruction, known for ruthlessly tearing apart every enemy. This was the first time Ji Qinghan encountered a zombie with such a detailed description. The tyrant zombie dragged 2 chains, approaching Ji Qinghan like a predator stalking its prey. A voice echoed in the arena. Newbie trial has started. Survive for 10 minutes to pass the trial. Ji Qinghan suddenly understood where the dismembered limbs on the ground came from. These must have been left by previous challengers who failed. He quickly ordered his skeletons to surround the tyrant zombie and began mentally timing the trial. The tyrant zombie roared when it saw the 4 frail skeletons approaching. It swung its chains like a serpent's tail, hitting the lead skeleton. The skeleton blocked the attack with a shield and rolled on the ground before stopping. The remaining 3 skeletons reached the tyrant zombie and struck with their weapons, but the spiked wooden clubs barely made a dent. Ji Qinghan frowned, feeling anxious. The trial required surviving for 10 minutes, and he doubted there was only one tyrant zombie. Noticing the darkness around the arena, he felt pressure. Then he saw some old weapon racks in the arena. Covered in dust and seemingly unused for years, Ji Qinghan hurried over and grabbed a long sword. With a flash of white light, he saw the sword's attributes. Old longsword, level 3, increases combat power, 10. An equipment that increases combat power by 10 points was 5 times better than the spiked wooden club. Ji Qinghan immediately instructed his skeletons to switch to the new weapons. The skeletons, engaged in battle, pushed the tyrant zombie back with their shields and then ran to the nearest weapon racks. 2 skeletons took long swords, while the other 2 grabbed a long hammer and a spear. With their combat power significantly increased, the skeletons dealt effective damage to the tyrant zombie. A sword strike caused a gush of foul blood and an angry roar from the zombie. It counterattacked, but all the blows were blocked by the shields. In less than a minute, the tyrant zombie was decapitated by the skeletons. Feeling a surge of necromantic energy, Ji Qinghan sighed in relief. It seemed the trial provided some assistance. Without these weapons, even the most skilled challengers would struggle to harm the tyrant zombie. However, others could only use one weapon, while Ji Qinghan could use multiple. After the first tyrant zombie was defeated, another one emerged from the shadows. But Ji Qinghan's skeletons easily defeated it. Every minute, a new tyrant zombie appeared from the darkness, only to be swiftly slain by Ji Qinghan's skeletons. When the last tyrant zombie fell, Ji Qinghan finally heard the trial's completion message. Trial completed. Congratulations, you have passed the newbie trial. Reward: 1 piece of equipment for your current profession. Congratulations, you are the first player to pass the newbie trial. Reward: special passive skill, Pioneer. A white light entered Ji Qinghan's body, and he saw a new passive skill. Pioneer. Brave individuals experience the world first. Players with this skill are more likely to receive higher level rewards. It seemed to be a skill that increased luck. Ji Qinghan looked around for his equipment and found a floating light orb on the corpse of the last tyrant zombie. He picked it up and discovered it was a small staff. The staff's head was a green crystal, looking mysterious and eerie. Apprentice staff. Level 5, increases combat power, 10, special effect. Summoning skills maximum summon quantity +2. Ji Qinghan was eager to equip the staff, but he was still level 4, just shy of reaching level 5. Adding 2 more skeletons would be a huge help. Excited, Ji Qinghan began to collect the weapons, but just as he was about to store them in the necromantic space, he felt a sudden force, like being kicked. An invisible power grabbed him and threw him into the crack. Damn it, my weapons. As Ji Qinghan disappeared, the gladiatorial arena gradually returned to calm. All the weapons, except for the dismembered limbs on the ground, were returned to the racks, with the dust as if no one had ever touched them. Chapter 15, The Realm of the Dead. On the 3rd floor of the teaching building where Ji Qinghan had been attending classes, Tian and Dao Yu anxiously waited in front of the crack. Suddenly, the crack wobbled and ejected a person as if discarding trash. The 2 of them quickly looked over. The person who fell out was none other than Ji Qinghan. As soon as Ji Qinghan landed, he began to check his necromantic space. Finding that he hadn't managed to bring any of the weapons from the racks, he let out a disappointed sigh. His 4 skeletons were also ejected, but their weapons were nowhere to be found. Seeing Ji Qinghan's disappointed expression, Tian Tian asked with concern, "Did you fail?" Ji Qinghan shook his head. "No, I succeeded." "Then why the—" "It's nothing. Just a bit of a shame." Ji Qinghan waved it off and then turned to look at the crack that had been continuously spewing out zombies. The crack, after expelling Ji Qinghan and his skeletons, began to shrink slowly as if a zipper was being pulled up. Within just a few seconds, it had vanished completely, leaving no trace behind. Even the bloodstains and zombie corpses disappeared with it. "All right, there are no more zombies on this floor," Ji Qinghan said with a smile, shrugging his shoulders. Tian Tian let out a joyful squeal and tried to hug Ji Qinghan, but he dodged. Dao Yu, also smiling, started to speak, but his stomach growled loudly. Ji Qinghan glanced at him and laughed. "It's time to find some food. I'm hungry too." He looked around the floor, noting the lack of zombies. He was very close to reaching level 5, which would allow him to equip the apprentice staff. With that, his combat power would reach 35, and he could summon 3 more skeletons. 7 skeletons with around 40 combat power each would be formidable. With this in mind, he opened a window and looked down. The window faced a flower bed, where several zombies were wandering. He gave the order, and 2 skeletons jumped out of the window. They almost shattered into bone fragments upon landing but quickly got up and started fighting the nearby zombies. In less than 2 minutes, Ji Qinghan successfully ignited the 4th soul flame and reached level 5. He immediately equipped the apprentice staff, feeling much safer as his combat power increased to 35. He then summoned 2 more skeletons, only to find that their combat power was just 25. It seems that the attributes of summoned skeletons match my base combat power and don't benefit from the equipment, Ji Qinghan mused. But that makes sense. Otherwise, the skeletons would become overpowered with strong equipment. Ji Qinghan observed as one of his skeletons smashed a regular zombie to death with 2 hits. Wait, what was the effect of the 4th soul flame again? He wondered, checking his panel. The 4th soul flame granted a new skill, Realm of the Dead. Harness the power of death to grant your minions joy, allowing you to view through the eyes of any one of them. This isn't a combat skill, but it could be useful for reconnaissance, he thought. He activated the skill, feeling a brief disorientation. The next moment, he saw through his own eyes. It was a strange sensation, like having a third-person perspective, watching himself from the side. Ji Qinghan turned his head, and the view from his perspective mirrored his actions. With a thought, he ended the vision, smiling at the potential uses of this skill. He could stay in a safe location and send a team of skeletons on dangerous missions. Tian Tian noticed Ji Qinghan's grin and asked, "Ji Qinghan, what are you doing? Are you okay?" Ji Qinghan shook his head, leaving 2 skeletons to guard him while the rest jumped downstairs. He and his 2 bodyguard skeletons entered a classroom with a broken door and sat down. He gestured for the others to join him. "Come on, let's take a break. My skeletons are out looking for food." Dao Yu, after watching the departing skeletons, finally asked, "Are you sure your skeletons know what to look for?" "Absolutely, they're fully autonomous," Ji Qinghan replied with a smile, using the Realm of the Dead skill. His view shifted, and the classroom furniture transformed into menacing zombies. However, through his vision as a skeleton equipped with a shield and weapon, he swiftly eliminated the zombies. He only needed to think, and the skeleton followed his commands as if controlling an incredibly agile mech. With 7 such mechs, and more to come, Ji Qinghan felt confident. Tian Tian, originally wanting to chat, noticed Ji Qinghan's focused expression and realized he was busy. Leading the skeleton team, Ji Qinghan headed toward a small supermarket, about 500 meters away, that served students. As the skeletons approached the supermarket, the lead skeleton glanced back at the teaching building. Through its vision, Ji Qinghan saw people fighting to keep zombies out. Among them was Li Qingshan, looking out from a window. Ji Qinghan smirked coldly. He had guessed correctly, Li Qingshan was the one who had organized the blockade. Ji Qinghan decided not to confront him yet. He wanted to wait until he was stronger and return to crush Li Qingshan with overwhelming force. Your time will come, Li Qingshan, Jiyu Qinghan thought, a cold smile on his face. Meanwhile, his skeleton team continued to advance through the zombie hordes. Down on the first floor, Liang Chao turned to Li Qingshan and said, Qingshan, I felt like those skeletons looked back at us just now.